Welcome to Inside Drug Discovery. This video presents a drug, Veppanu, which was recently approved by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. This video focuses on the medicinal chemistry properties of the drug, not its therapeutic benefit in patients. Veppanu was approved on May 1st, 2026. Veppanu's approval was very closely monitored because it is the first FDA-approved compound with a distinctive mechanism of action, which we will discuss further. Veppanu is approved for treatment of certain types of breast cancer, another topic we will expand upon in a moment. The API in Veppanu is vepdegestrant. The drug is administered orally once per day, typically in a 200 milligram dose. The sponsor for the NDA is Arvinas with involvement from Pfizer. A link to the prescribing information insert of Veppanu is shown on this slide as well as in the video description. Veppanu is indicated for certain types of breast cancer. Specifically, the tumor should present the estrogen receptor, ER positive. Show low levels of human epidermal growth factor receptor 2, HER negative, include no mutations in the estrogen receptor 1 gene, and be advanced or metastatic. Despite these selection criteria, Veppanu still covers around a third of all breast cancers, at least according to AI. I mentioned that Veppanu's approval was met with some fanfare. That is because Veppanu is a PROTAC drug. PROTAC stands for proteolysis targeting chimera. PROTAC compounds are designed to bind to two molecular targets and are therefore described as heterobifunctional ligands. One target is the therapeutic target, in this case the estrogen receptor. On the left side of the structure, we can see the binding portion for the estrogen receptor. The other target is the proteolysis machinery of the cell. On the right, we have this part of the structure, which binds to E3 ligase, which labels proteins for destruction in the cell. The two ligands are connected by a linker. So now we can see the entire goal of a PROTAC drug. It brings a therapeutic target into proximity to the garbage collection system of the cell. The result is that the therapeutic target is destroyed. So instead of inhibiting an enzyme or antagonizing a receptor, a well-designed PROTAC can cause the cell to degrade the enzyme or receptor. The idea of PROTACs has been around for decades, but reducing that idea to practice with an FDA-approved drug has not been achieved until Veppanu. The approval of Veppanu was being closely watched by many companies with PROTAC compounds in their research pipelines. Some people consider PROTACs to be a completely new drug modality. Others consider PROTACs to be a type of small molecule, albeit with a distinctive mechanism of action. So the therapeutic target of Veppanu is the estrogen receptor, ER. According to IUPhar's Guide to Pharmacology, vepdegestrant inhibits transcription of the estrogen receptor with a measured IC50 of 1.77 nanomolar. The DC50, DC being degradation concentration, is below 5 nanomolar. And the compound can reduce estrogen receptor levels by over 75%. Keep in mind that patients taking Veppanu have tumors that are ER positive. Being ER positive allows the tumor to use the body's own estrogen to signal tumor growth. Because the estrogen receptors in the tumor cells are being degraded, the tumors should show a reduced rate of growth. Here are the physicochemical properties of vepdegestrant. Because PROTACs engage with two targets, the compounds have two ligand binding regions and are larger than a typical small molecule drug. A challenge is therefore to have a larger structure, a likely more lipophilic structure that regardless maintains adequate oral absorption. This balance might restrict the range of therapeutic targets accessible to PROTACs. In terms of PK properties, vepdegestrant has a nice long half-life for once daily dosing. The oral bioavailability is not reported. The drug is taken with food, which does slow absorption. The Tmax of 6 hours is consistent with absorption primarily in the small intestine. Vepdegestrant undergoes sulfation of its phenolic OH by various sulfotransferases. It is also oxidized by different CYPs, mostly CYP3A4. The vast majority of the circulating drug-related material is the parent drug. Excretion is primarily via the feces. The fact that just 12% of the drug is excreted unchanged could be interpreted as evidence that the drug is well absorbed. It's hard to say without more data. Veppanu does carry safety risks. The warnings and precautions section of the prescribing information lists QTc interval prolongation, a serious cardiovascular risk, as well as embryo-fetal toxicity. Adverse reactions observed in at least 10% of patients include musculoskeletal pain, fatigue, nausea, QTc interval prolongation, constipation, and various laboratory abnormalities such as elevated liver enzyme levels and decreased cell counts. That concludes this summary of the NDA approval of Veppanu, which was announced by the U.S. FDA on May 1st of 2026. Veppanu contains vepdegestrant as its active pharmaceutical ingredient. Veppanu is approved for the treatment of certain types of breast cancer. As always, thank you for watching all the way to the end. If you've enjoyed this content, please like, subscribe, or leave a comment. Take care.